Tattoo artists of Reddit, what was the weirdest / most disturbing tattoo a customer wanted? When I worked as a tattoo artist, a guy wanted us to tattoo his name on his infant baby, because as he put it, she's trying to say that's not my son. We threatened to call the guardy, because what the actual hell? We wouldn't tattoo anyone under the age of 18, even with parental consent, and we certainly wouldn't tattoo a baby. I had to laugh when I saw the episode of Archer, where he and the baby get tattoos. It was a grim reminder. Before people ask, Irish police. I work with kindergarteners, and was shocked to see that one of them actually had a tattoo on her wrist. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm assuming it is a symbol of her culture. I was so shocked when I first saw it, and it didn't come off. There was a case where the parents had to get tattoos on identical twins because one had a medical condition and had to be administered medication that would have killed the unaffected twin. Could it be something like this? HIV+ on the shaft of their penis. Apparently they felt it would qualify as informed consent and avoid bringing it up in conversation. But alas, women do not see WIs inside their vaginas. I hoped he refused. The guy that used to do my tattoos used to charge $1,000 upcharge just for touching genitalia. Dissuaded all but the most convicted. Pretty sure it'd be another $1,000 for HIV. I've always wanted to know, how do people get their penises tattooed? Like, how do they stay hard through the whole thing? I don't think I'd be able to maintain an erection in front of a stranger with a pointy needle. Do they tattoo the flaccid penis? How would that work? I've asked my tattoo guy this question. He said they stretch it over something like a tennis ball. I think I need to see it to understand. But I don't want to. I have a buddy that has his anus tattooed and got it when he was high on shrooms. It's an eyeball. God help whichever tattoo artist had to do that one. I guess you could say they've seen some shit. I have a friend that tattooed on herself the word spite onto her leg when she was 14, but anytime she wears socks it looks like it says spit. My brother got his own name on his chest. Not sure why. I was getting tattooed, and one of the guys at the shop refused to tattoo a couple flies around a girl's vagina and inner thigh. Oh. Why did he refuse? What tattoo did the flies want done that was so bad? Several years ago I tattooed the words Jeffrey Dahmer in shitty scratchy writing on a girl's neck for her 18th birthday. She had been coming into the shop a lot with her friends as they got tattooed and talking about it. She had the letters drawn up exactly as she wanted them and everything. The answer was always the same. No fucking way. When she finally turned 18 she came in with a few friends and asked again. I told her politely to fuck off with her shenanigans. A few minutes later her friend told her he could just tattoo it with the gun he got off eBay at home. I made the hard choice to do the tattoo to ensure that it wouldn't get infected or be all scarred up if she ever decided to have it removed. It's been circulating around the internet for several years. I still feel shitty about it and hope she got it removed. Not a tattoo artist, but the guy I went to for many years once told me that he had a customer come in, 20 years old and completely sober and very serious, wanting him to tattoo birds flying out of her vagina up to her lower stomach. He told her he wasn't willing to tattoo genitalia to get out of it, and she said okay, I'll just take an infinity sign on the back of my neck instead. He saved her from a lot of awkward questions and a lot of regret later in life. I got a tattoo of Diddler Bob on my ass. To those unaware, Diddler Bob is the character from the episode of SpongeBob where SpongeBob finds a pencil and draws a copy of himself. The copy becomes alive and ends up being evil. While I was getting it, I asked the tattoo artist, so what's the dumbest tattoo you've ever given someone? His reply, honestly, probably this one. I've had it for a few years and have no regrets. Diddler Bob will live on underneath my boxers for years to come. Mihoy Manoy. While watching him tattoo my best friend, he said that a guy came in and asked for Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street on the bottoms of his big toes, one on each foot. Not me personally, but I know my ex-stepdad's mother is a renowned tattooist in the UK, and she is an immigrant. A guy came in wanting her to tattoo shop wanting fuck off Pakis on his back. She declined. Obligatory not a tattoo artist, but I did a series of renovations at a buddy's shop over a couple years. I was something like a skilled groupie. Strangest request I saw on it. Guy comes in, looking like a goth thug. He says his mom just died recently, and he wants to get a portrait done in her honor. He pulls out an 8x10 black and white nudie pic of his mom. I heard my buddy ask a question like, "Was your mom a burlesque dancer?" The guy, deadpan, says, "Nah, man, nah. She was a stay-at-home mom." The finished piece was actually amazing, but clearly that family was a bit different than mine. Strangest request I saw turned away. Guy came in with a small group, maybe 4 or 5 people in their early 20s. He wanted a few disembodied dicks floating over a naked woman, spraying her with cum. That guy had a giant dick tattooed on his forearm. Edit. Since you guys seem to like this, here's a bonus. A couple came in. They were your typical white thugs, wearing gang colors just outside the bad part of town, and trying to be hard. They were fighting about something, and she kept dropping the N-bomb on him. We, the workers at the shop, were all wildly uncomfortable. Anyway, the guy wanted the Silver Surfer on his ribs. He had a picture, a price was negotiated, and he returned with his girl a couple days later for his appointment. I was laying tile in the room next to the room this guy's getting tattooed in. Normally, I would hear nothing, but not this time. This guy was screaming. I went in to check on them, just barged in, completely inappropriate behavior on my end. Honestly, I was terrified that something awful had happened to my friend. My buddy was trying to maintain a straight face and coach the guy through, but the screams continued. The girlfriend was absolutely berating this guy and mocking him. Eventually, the guy fainted and had to be revived with smelling salts. That was the end of the season. Somewhere out there is a guy with a half-finished Silver Surfer on his ribs and an awful memory. Not an artist, but the artist I see said he has a guy come in and get naked Disney princesses tattooed all over his body. Like think topless Little Mermaid or naked Pocahontas. Then gets upset when people complain about them being visible when kids are around. Not a tattoo artist, but I worked with a lady who had a picture of herself on the cross tattooed on her upper arm. Oh, and the tattoo self was naked, and she was happy cause he made my tits bigger on it. Finally, a post I can comment on. I had a pair of dominatrix sisters ask me to tattoo their live-in slave for his birthday as a surprise. It was their names in Chinese, at the base of his cock. They had specifically requested me as I fit into the fetish category of the slave, being an East Asian lady tattooer. I was to be paid triple for my time, but had one request, that I tattoo him at their studio, dressed as a dominatrix, while he was tied up bondage style. When I got to their location, it was really sketchy as it was in a random warehouse in a bad part of town. But once I walked through the red door, it was very tastefully decorated with cages hanging from the ceiling along with the chandeliers. They had me dress up in their clothes as we were the same size, while the slave got ready in his gear, none the wiser. When he was ready, after some sort of ceremony where they whipped him for a while, they told him his birthday surprise. He was so excited he was erect by the time I had my station ready. They used to be nurses, so they had the sterile equipment already, hence an easy setup. The ladies tied him up on a padded table and stretched out the area to be tattooed by weighing down his cock and balls with rope and weights. After the tattoo was done, they thanked me for my services, paid me triple along with a hefty tip, and I was on my way. All in all, 10/10ths would do it again. A tattoo of a penis on a penis. That's how you get twins. At my shop last year we had an older lady come in and ask us to tattoo her eyebrows. Not an uncommon request, even though we don't do cosmetic tattooing, but rather than regular brows she wanted them to look like greyhound dogs running off her face. She was deadly serious too. Needless to say we refused.